Hello children, I'm Antonelli, a faculty of English from TPI's Talla Padmavathi International School, Warangal. Well, in the previous session, we appreciated the poem with. So today, we are going to discuss the various literary devices or poetic devices used in the poem. What are these poetic devices? These are the different uh, techniques that are employed in the poem by the poet, right? Composing it. So, without delaying anymore, let's discuss the poetic devices of the poem Wind. Now, the very first thing in poetry, right from the lower classes, we learn about rhyming. You all know what is rhyming. And just have a look at the poem lines and just to decide whether the poem is having any rhyming pattern or rhyming scheme. See here, the first line, softly, next to windows, papers, shelf, down, books, again, weaklings, rafters, lives, hearts, all in. Seems that there is no any rhyming pattern or rhyming scheme. So we can say that this poem has been composed in free verse. In free verse. There is no rhyming pattern. So when there is no rhyming pattern, it is said to be free verse. Now, let us look at something else. Uh, just focus on the underlined words. The second line, don't. Third line, don't. Fourth line, don't. Again in sixth line, you. Seven, you. And eight, you. So you can notice that here the same word is being repeated in successive lines. In the very beginning of second line, door, and continuously the third line, don't. Fourth line, don't. Again in sixth, you, and you, and you. So when a word is repeated, the repetition of a word, the repetition of a word in uh, successive sentences or clauses, when we use the same word at the beginning of sentences, but those sentences should be successive in the sense they should be one after the other. Uh, so here you can see the second, third, and fourth, same word, don't. All the three sentences have begun with a don't. Similarly, here you see in the sixth and seventh and eighth, all these three sentences have begun with you. So, such repetition of a word or a phrase at the beginning of successive clauses or sentences is known as anaphora. So, what is the second literary device employed in this poem? Anaphora. What is anaphora? The repetition of a word or a phrase at the beginning of successive clauses. Now, just focus on these underlined words. One, two, three, some seven words are underlined. And to notice, all the seven words are one and the same. All the seven, crumbling, 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 crumbling. So, what we can understand here, the same word is repeated again and again in short intervals. again and again. Why do you think the poet has repeated this word here, crumbling, again and again? Because the poet wants to uh, get our attention on this particular idea, crumbling. What is this crumbling here? Crumbling refers to the action of wind. So the poet wants to highlight this idea. He wants to lay emphasis. He wants to stress on this particular word or this particular idea. So the poet wants us to understand what? Wind can crumble or wind can destroy everything that comes in its way. So here, this third one is called repetition. Repetition uh, is using the same word repeatedly in order to lay focus or emphasis on one particular idea. This is one. And next one, see here, the wind god. He, him, all these three words refer to whom? Wind. Is wind a person? No. Still, the poet is treating the wind as a living thing. Wind is a lifeless object, but the poet treating it as a living thing. In fact, as a human, he is treating it. The wind god winnows. Winnowing is an action. You know, usually farmers winnow in order to separate grain from the husk. So that is something, a human activity. But here the poet is describing wind god as doing something like human beings. Taking a lifeless object or a non-human object and describing it something like human behavior. Then it is called what? You all know it very well. What is that? Personification. What is being personified here? Wind is being personified by the poet. The wind is being treated as a human. Now, next. Now just see here. Focus on the underlined words. Wind, weak. The wind blows out weak fires. Wind, weak. Both the words are beginning with the same sound word. So, same sound word. That's why, and this, both the words, either wind, you take wind or weak, both the words are starting with the same sound word. So, this is known as alliteration. Repetition of a consonant sound at short intervals. Wow. It's not a vowel sound, it's a consonant sound. So here, this consonant sound verb is repeating at short intervals. So this is what we call alliteration. Alliteration is repetition of a consonant sound at short intervals. Now let us look for one. Yes, throughout the poem, wind. The poem is all about the wind and its power and how to make friends with the wind we have seen in the poem. Unless we make ourselves strong, we cannot befriend the wind. So here, there is also another poetic device that has been employed in this poem, that is symbolism. What is this symbolism? Yeah. What is this symbolism? Using something to refer to something else, using some object or something, an idea, to represent some other concept. Here, wind. What is the wind? In other way, we can understand. The poem is all about wind and withstanding courageously and focusing on it. But Here, the wind can also be taken as adversities. The poet has used the word wind here to symbolize the adverse situations or the challenging situations of life. So this is what we call, what is being used as a symbol, wind. Wind is used as a symbol of what? Challenging situations. So symbolism, using some word or idea to represent some other idea. This is what. So these are the different mm, poetic devices or literary devices have been employed in this poem. A very good number of poetic devices were employed by the poet. So, what are the different? Uh, yes, poetic devices we have used here. Rhyming scheme, anaphora, repetition, personification, alliteration, and symbolism. These are the different uh, poetic devices that have been used in the poem Wind. Hope you understood these different poetic devices. Uh, that's all for this session. Thank you.